again for coming week 3 of MasterMind. This week's topic is I hope everyone kind of brought a challenge or something that is kind of weighing on them with all this in their business. And actually, this week I'm going to start with a quote that Andrew sent to me last week, and it's funny because he's not here. And this is from David Goggins. I don't know if y'all have heard of him. He's a Navy SEAL. Ultra marathon runner. His story's insane. His book is Can't Hurt Me. It's one of the most motivating, craziest books you'll ever read or listen to. It makes you feel like you have done nothing. This wild story. But his quote is, "One of the worst things we can do in life is listen to people who aren't even trying to do what we are attempting to do." So what that means, to me is don't listen to the naysayers, especially if they're not even trying to do better or even close to in your shoes. It always seems that the loudest voices are the ones who aren't doing anything. It's the people on the internet, it's the naysayers, and it's all the negative people out there who aren't even trying to do anything, and all they do is voice their opinion. So it's looking for better people like this group that we got here today, trying to better yourself and listening to those voices of reason instead of the voices of negativity. So a little reminder format, since we do have seems we got someone else joining right now. We are going to time today, so I'll just hold it up. What I think will kind of work is that we'll pose a problem, and then we'll kind of let the group go around, and we'll kind of do it around 3 to 4 minutes. And if we're running close, I'll just hold it up to the screen so everyone can know, so we can try to wrap that topic up and move on to the next person. Does that sound good for everybody?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome, cool. So my biggest problem right now, I have a few, but the one I wanted to bring up today and kind of get y'all's opinion on is I'm trying to hire and build a team. Now, with what I do is it's not true hires, as y'all know. We're 1099s, and I'm looking for contractors. So other real estate people, and I'm looking for a very small niche kind of individual. I want someone who has commercial experience, who's obviously licensed in real estate, but who comes from a residential brokerage like a Keller Williams, or one of these other smaller brokerages here in Atlanta. And this is because we're not a traditional commercial brokerage. The one I left from, was very traditional. We owned the building. We were the top floor, very high up, and that comes with certain gives and takes in the real estate world. Typically, in your residential, you have fees, and in a large commercial firm, you pay nothing. You just pay your split. So I need someone that is used to the residential style model, and with commercial experience. But trying to hire or get out in front of these right people or find those people in this time has been a major challenge. So my question to y'all is, any ideas or anything that y'all can think of to try to find that niche type of individual, or am I just limiting myself?
So is it that they're kind of a unicorn, or are they just not wanting to jump because of the environment?
So I feel like maybe it is possibly a unicorn, like you said. I've just started this week trying to ramp up and get out there and try to search for people, and put it out there on LinkedIn that we are hiring. I think you're right. Maybe I am just looking for a unicorn.
So has that been your avenue, LinkedIn, or are you looking at other avenues?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Craigslist. We are going to, once kind of all this blows over, my partner, they have an account with all those other hiring websites, I guess Monster Zoom, what all those other ones are. But, it's like agents aren't really looking on there. They kind of go where their friends are, or, the ones they're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, this may be old school, Reed, but the Atlanta Business Journal usually publishes every month the leases that are out there and who has done them. You might want to look there and see who the leasing agent was, and then be able to be proactive and contact them to see if they might be a fit.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Good idea, actually.
Yeah. Roman, how do you go about hiring? It seems like you always have a stellar team.
Well, it's only because it worked because some of my team is outsourced, and so when I hire someone, really, it takes half a year or to a year. I spend time with the person way in advance to kind of learn who they are, how they are, right, way ahead, and then there is a hire, because I'm more in a management position in a sense, a leadership team lead or whatnot, and then the rest, like the processing, dispatching, and whatnot, is outsourced, and so those are easier to find. Well, I would say easier, but it's all right to turn if something that didn't work out,
Okay.
In my case, maybe it's a bit different, but I do spend some time, finding, because it's more of a administration roles, really.
Okay. Awesome.
But I would go about it through LinkedIn, and really, I usually start with whoever I know, asking, "Hey, do you know someone, or do you what I'm looking for?" Way before like reaching out to in any other way. So I would say an introduction to potential someone that I would hire could be a win for you to convince this new model of compensation and whatnot.
Okay. Awesome. Well, since you're talking, Roman, why don't you go next? And actually, since this is your first one, if you'll do a quick intro to who you are and what you do. And then if you have a problem or whatever you're facing or kind of want to talk about, then bring that up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my career in real estate back in high school. I started doing flooring, grew a team from a few installers to 17 installers at the time. And then switched to just construction building from ground up, acquisition of properties, zoning, development, putting in roads, building homes and sell it, like basically the whole cycle. And the economy was great for it, but in 2008 things changed, of course. And I switched on just property services, mainly for those institutional investors that bought thousands of homes in the market for rent, right? Like the colonies of the world and IH and so on. And since then, I also came up with our own proprietary software tool to be able to cope with the volume and so on. And so now I'm sort of running like property services business and in renovations and rehab and construction. And at the same time, kind of leading a startup from this software that we had to create that evolved from this whole kind of thing. So I guess main challenge now with the current situation is really safety for the workers and ability really to motivate the office personnel while they're in their homes. Motivate meaning, just still, because when you see them in the office, you always can say something. You have meetings, you have, let's go to the lunch, guys, let's have a meeting, a sit down, or so on. So there is always constant connection and feedback. But when it's on a distance, sometimes video conference calls aren't, that sufficient. It's more of a check mark for most. Just kind of learn. I think one of the challenges is just kind of learning how to sustain this, because it's not just the 1 week. It's been a month now. We're going into the second or going into third, perhaps. So really, that's something that was, and that's what not normal to have that kind of challenge. Also, I know companies have challenged with workflow and so on, but given the type of business is essential business, so the volume of work continues for us, luckily. So we are able, not as much as in the normal economy, in the normal state, but it's okay. It's holding up.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, my first thing, you and I kind of talked about this yesterday when we were on the phone about the challenges of trying to motivate people when there is no human connection. I feel you on the fact that it feels like a check mark. Doing a video conference, like, okay, we saw people, they're alive, they're working, they're in their office at home. I mean, Dad, I know you have a team. How are you staying on top of them and motivating them in this?
It's good question. What I started doing last week is we're having 2 calls a week, just like this. And, it's not like I'm a taskmaster. You may disagree, Reed, but what I started doing is I started making assignments. I started making assignments for everybody that they have to come back, and on the second meeting, they have to report out themselves on what they've done. So it kind of gives them a little bit of accountability and kind of keeps the ball moving, rather than me just leading and saying, okay, here's what we've done. No, we're all a part of a team. You have this assignment, you have that assignment. Now I want to see how you can push our business forward. So, so they at first they rebelled a little bit about it, because I heard, because I have your older brother working with me, I heard scuttlebutt that, boy, Dad, you really scalded them. They're a little bit scared now. I said, yeah, they don't just have to show up for a meeting. They have to be prepared for a meeting. And like Roman says, I'm really missing that interaction of seeing them every day and being able to motivate them. So I don't know if it's going to work. We'll see.
No, I think that's a good idea. I've been watching, since I have extra time, right? I mean, I'm still essential, but I have a little extra time. So I've been watching some webinars with some other leaders. And some of the ideas that they were throwing out was putting together project management software. So some of them were using Monday. I don't know if that applies to Romans, but it's a project management tool, and there's a lot of communication in it, like Slack, so that everybody kind of knows where everybody is. And then there's obviously goals, so when you reach them, you celebrate. But what other big companies are doing is they're sending like pizza for the meeting, or coffee, or something like that, so that everybody gets motivated to be on the meeting. And then there also a sense of gratefulness, for the cool thing or whatever it was, right?
That's
so it gets them a little bit more excited.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a really good idea. Actually,
yeah, it is.
Or one of the mortgage companies that I follow, they do themes for their meetings, so they might dress up like the Lion King.
Right? I have one of those today. I was gonna say, I was like, we do happy hour Zooms with mine, and it's one of our staff's birthday, and she requested that we wear a costume for it. So yeah. So hey, real quick, Matt, is that you with no video?
That is me. Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
This new one does not seem to like iPad format very much, so I just switched over to my phone.
Oh, okay.
So sorry you can't see me, but at least you can now hear me.
Exactly.
So I think of the two, I think we'll go with hearing better than seeing.
Right.
Or I could just use a lot of hand motions.
Right. Awesome.
But, one thing that struck me, Reed, and I mean, I'm not so much on that side because mine's more outward facing. But I have seen, there's been especially in architecture and engineering, a lot of firms have actually been letting people go, furloughing, whatever you want to call it, in this time, which I think is honestly very kind of a hasty decision and would bring a lot of questions to my mind about the company as a whole if they don't have the ability to survive, a temporary slowdown. Because really in the architecture side, it really hasn't slowed down at all. I know of one firm that let about 20 people go. Now they wouldn't be good candidates for what you do, because architects are differently motivated. But keep an ear on the ground, and I will as well, because there may be some of the brokerage or some of that may be kind of cutting back to trim some of those costs a bit, which may allow you to pick some people up. But I was also, and kind of like what your dad's mentioning, this is also old school, but what about headhunters? I don't know if that's still a good option in your industry, or if they're having the same struggles that you would. But it is weird. I think a lot of people are just kind of, if they've got something, they're keeping their head down and just kind of looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, hoping it's not a train. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a process, and it's a tough time to get that process started. But I would just keep what you're doing on LinkedIn and other social medias. Just keep it out there that, hey, in this time when people are trying to hang on to it, we're building. So let's have that conversation.
Well said.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Cheryl, I think you're up to bat.
Yep. So for me, I think my biggest struggle is going to be really industry specific. My biggest struggle right now is the changing of the guidelines and so since I'm in mortgages, since Roman doesn't know, so I'm in residential mortgages. The buyer pool is getting smaller, and there's also some trepidation, right? So I guess my challenge is how to keep my buyers motivated that this is a very short-term emergency and that things are going to get better. So there's trepidation, and then there's also the theory that prices are going to come way down, rates are going to come way down, and so I'm just going to wait. So how do I overcome those two things?
Yeah. Roman, go for it.
Yeah, that's. I have a few friends in this similar arena, and they're actually concerned exactly for that. They're just like, hey, we're in the limbo. It's almost better to just know where we're going to be, even if it's worse than what we expect, rather than limbo, right? Because it's just a waiting period. So it's
yeah. I mean, I understand, Cheryl, especially. That's the same thing that everyone seems to be talking about in the residential side. I know the residential side of our brokerage, we have a flat fee listing service, and that has kicked up. But the buyers, like you said, everyone seems very trepidatious. Everyone's, and for some reason, everyone thinks it's going to be another 2008, or the buyers think it's going to be another 2008, where all of a sudden these people that were over leveraged or improperly leveraged, are gonna have this massive fallout. But as we all know, that's not the crisis this time. It's not it's not a financial crisis. It's not propagated by that. It's a virus one. So I feel you on that. And I feel like you're very good at this. I think it's the education portion, and it's the constant be that leader. Be that person out there saying that, guys, calm down, don't worry, it's not going to be like that. And there's going to be some fallout, but we all know it's not going to be massive. There's going to be, it's going to be on all sides. It's going to be the people that weren't, like Matt, you said earlier about those companies. It's going to be the people that weren't set up for it. But there's going to be plenty of people staying the same. the prices might be a small tick down or something, but it's not going to be a massive dropout.
Yeah, I do think that the prices will change a little, because there'll be just a natural narrowing of the availability of property and the number of buyers, because some of these programs won't come back, right? The real risky ones won't come back, and that's going to narrow the pool. So naturally it'll go down a little bit, but you're right, it's not going to be 2008.
No. So how do you, how do you do that?
How do I
stay in front of them? I guess that's the question. How do you be that voice besides the typical, the typical social media post or email blast?
I saw something from actually a friend of mine is a realtor here and actually bought my house from. They put out kind of like their market reports and actually put it on Facebook as well. Showing the supply that's available, that it is still very low comparison to the buyers in the market. Supporting that, we're not going to see some big crash in values because the supply is way below the demand, even in this time. They I think also mentioned that with everything going on, there's definitely a lot less just lookers. So the people that are in the market are quite serious about it, which is good on the realtor side. And I think the rate question is going to be a tough one to get ahead of, because I think everyone, they are very low now, and for some reason everyone thinks they're just going to like completely disappear, which is unrealistic. But will it continue to drop to try to spur the market? I can see them doing that. But we that's a crystal ball I don't think any of us have.
For sure.
If we did, we'd be billionaires.
Yeah.
But so I guess just trying the education side to just put something together saying, I see where and exactly what Reed is saying, and I completely agree. Everyone thinks this is 2008 again, and it's not. Those forces are not there, and that was something that everyone could see happening, where they were just waiting for that bubble to burst.
Right.
There was all kinds of warnings, and everyone wanted to act surprised when it did. That's not the case here. So I think that's just, you have to remind people of that, because I get it, and maybe that's just the only frame of reference that so many of us have. And this doesn't fit a frame of reference. This is just odd.
So true. Yeah, I had a conversation with someone yesterday who is buying a second home, and people naturally do what people do. They research the internet for things, right? And so he's seeing a different rate out there than what we can offer. But what people don't do is they don't dig into the disclaimers or their assumptions, and so the lower rate that they're seeing is going to cost him 2.25 points, and I'm giving, and plus that's on the primary residence. So when I'm actually talking to a client, the education is easy because there are things I can show them. But Reed, you specifically asked, how am I getting in front of my clients? So all of my database gets an email, phone call, something. I'm spending a lot more time on the phone, which I abhor. I hate talking about it. But it's the thing that needs to be done, right? So so they all get phone calls, and then plus with the forbearance, I want all my clients to know how dangerous that really is. So I'm calling them about that too. So, and I'm also offering to all of my clients, if they know someone who's struggling or having questions, just to have them call me, right? Because that can be a conversion.
Right. Yeah. Right. For sure. Awesome. All right. Well, Matt, your turn up to the plate.
Okay, great. And sorry for the video difficulty there today, guys. I guess maybe if I upload that 8x8 app, maybe it'll work better on iPad. Anyway, but for challenges right now on my side, because I'm in the business development and architecture, and we're a national firm, is getting I'm not able to get in front of the people like I was, because I just physically cannot do that. And the virtual methods work, I'd say about 50%, just in the scheduling and the timing. So that is a challenge. And also just getting the information that I need on projects. Fortunately, we are as busy, if not busier, than we were. So that's, it's kind of a lesser issue. My bigger concern now is down the road. As we finish some things out, will there be that backlog to fill there? And that's, there's a lot of things a lot of these things are public projects or they're bond funded. That is all taking a pause right now because the rates, kind of what you're talking about there, Cheryl, have actually really just dropped in the bond market. And so the equity is kind of holding because they're not making their percentage, to actually make this work. Other projects are funded by, hospitality, taxes, and that sort of thing, which have obviously also just, kind of gone away right now. And there's nothing we can do about that. Just trying to, stay in front of everybody. But to me, it's where can we find another avenue, to also find, maybe this is a great time to find another growth market or a different market to get into, and set up around. The other challenge, which is just typical of this time, is anything that comes out, everybody is going after. Many firms that have no presence in different markets, they're going to jump in. I attended a virtual pre-bid meeting for some Georgia Tech projects the other day, which was a disaster. And I think there were 125 people to call.
Oh, wow.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It really was. It was kind of like, oh, come on, guys. So,
that is wild.
It was, the person at Tech, she was doing everything she could, but she kind of didn't share her agenda on her screen. It was really just her talking, and so audio was all over the place because nobody was muting, and we're trying to help her, use her system to mute everybody except for herself, because she would mute all, and then we couldn't hear anything.
Right.
She'd unmute it, and then we heard everybody. Yeah, it was like, oh boy. So I didn't get anything out of that meeting other than, boy, everybody is really watching for anything and everything they can. So it's going to be, just kind of outwardly competitive. What do I do with this? I don't know. I think I just kind of hunker down, stay at it, keep working the relationships that I have, keep, working into new relationships. The virtual meetings sometimes can be easier to set up, so that can be successful. Just keep pushing for that. Had a great meeting with the new, I guess she's the associate general manager for MARTA. The other day, came in from the private sector, was looking to change some things there, which music to my ears. And it was great. It was a great virtual meeting. I think we were able to get more information apart, to her than we would have normally. And there are some massive projects coming out from them fairly soon. One of them is 5 Point Station is going to be completely redone. Most of it's going to be torn down, and then I think they're going to build up. I think they're looking at that airspace above it, kind of like they're also doing at Northside. Timed to be done by 2025 for the World Cup, which is coming in 2026. So this is going to be kind of a capstone for them.
You said that's 5 Point Station?
Yep, 5 Point
Okay.
Station. Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to be a multi-headed monster. So I mean, right now I'm putting together our team. Reaching out to different firms, trying to create some strategic alliances. Just kind of putting everybody together. And it probably won't be on the street for 45, 60 days. But when it is, I want everybody to be ready to go.
Whoa.
And there's some large work at the airport that's been delayed in the announcement. So kind of that may have actually nothing to do with the current situation, although it probably does. But there are other issues at the airport that involve the airport.
Yeah, we all know that. Yeah.
Not interested in those politics.
Yeah, no. I tried to get someone in there in the airport, a franchise, and it's like you need an act of God, and you need to know somebody in there to get things done.
But Matt, you need to know somewhere in it.
Yeah.
And that actually there are a couple of development. One's called Delaware North. If you're looking to get somebody in there on a retail side,
yeah,
there are specific companies that do airport retail. Delaware North is one of the biggest, and we've done quite a few projects with them.
Okay, I think they manage the Braves SunTrust as well. That might be them. Yeah, because I've reached out to them too. Well, with your challenge,
we actually just started a Capital One club at Dulles and Reagan, and so I think they're looking at Atlanta as well.
Oh, awesome. Well, on your challenge, you're saying get in front of people. What Roman said about mine earlier kind of pinged my thought process on that. In LinkedIn, and he's, what he said about mine is, find that person that you want and then look for those connections, So if, you're having trouble, get in front of those people, see if you have any connections to them. It's, I know a lot of y'all's is municipality, government and everything like that. So I would suggest trying to find a connection through them and looking for those soft introductions. Those warm introductions that someone can maybe tee up for you. I mean, and is that your?
That is very effective.
Yeah, I know it goes without saying we all kind of know these things. But Roman, I was thinking when he said 5 points, I said maybe we need to start looking to see if there's any other opportunities down there. That's gonna make them. Price. It's already being gentrified, but that's if they got a new station and everything like that. That's going to be a great market.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah. This little piece of information.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know, great.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what is all in the plans, but I cannot see them not putting some sort of multifamily development either on top of or beside of. There's so much inventory there that is just prime for adaptive reuse, mixed use, multifamily, live, work, play type thing. It's just waiting. And those guys that got 5 points that bought it have sat on it and can't figure out what to do with it. They're gonna either have to let that go or come to play, because that's literally connected to this. And then you got Georgia State. So I can see a campus housing or a combination facilities where they will have some student housing, we'll have some condos and apartments, all of it all kind of wrapped up there and together, which may be an interesting combination, but I can definitely see that happening there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, this time I felt like we did a good job of staying on topic and running through these today. We actually hit the 40-minute mark on time today, which is funny because we switched over from Zoom. But so, at this point, I want to open it up to anybody that anything else they want to bring up, talk about any struggles, questions they may have, or if you got to go, go for it. But I appreciate everyone being here, and I just want to open up the floor.
All right. How's everybody, elsewhere, coping with staying distant from communicating with humans?
I'm going crazy.
I'm going crazy for sure.
Yeah, I'm ready for this to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually had to drive down to my office yesterday to get a notary stamp and print off some forms for proposal, and it was just kind of weird how quiet and empty it was in there. And
Yeah.
more traffic than I would have thought.
Yeah.
But yeah,
A friend of mine, you guys seen this thing? As soon as this thing started on social media, everywhere, people posting like, "Hey, introverts, check on your extroverts. They're not okay."
We are not.
Right. But,
I'm not
Right.
okay.
but now it's gotten so bad that, and that's like, well, yeah, you should, because extroverts are losing their minds. But now it's getting into a new wave where, at this point, you got to check on introverts as well.
Yes, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. The other day, yesterday, I felt like, I don't know, my mood was off. I was in a shit mood. I couldn't do anything. It was like I was motivated, but I was just in a very crappy mood. I felt down, because I get my energy from people, and I've been sequestered to my office for a lot of y'all know that I was out of the country when the travel ban was announced. I was actually on a flight, and I landed in Iceland at 1:00 in the morning, U.S. or Eastern time, and found out about it and had to come back. And then as we were coming back, we found out that Macy, one of her coworkers, contracted COVID-19 or China virus, whatever, and we had to self-quarantine for 14 days. So since like the beginning of March, I've been on lockdown, and I'm going wild. But yesterday, I actually got out real quick, and just me going to the liquor store and talking to people, I felt so energized. Like there was
I'm glad you had productive time. Yeah.
At least liquor stores are essential, right?
Amen.
Right.
Amen. Well, I'm tired of going there like 5 times a week. I'm done.
You find a case at a time or something?
Yeah, a handle, and they just disappear. I don't know how I drink a handle of liquor at night. No.
Try grocery store. Just don't buy everything at the same time. Just go bits and
Walk
pieces.
around. Yeah, I know. I felt so energized
Just
from
browsing.
talking to 3 people.
It's so true. Saturday, so I have a medically fragile mom, so I can't really connect with people at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have all the groceries delivered. So I supported a local restaurant, and I bought 14 Easter dinners for my family since we couldn't gather, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
I had to go pick it up in Canton because it's just a small local restaurant. So I drove from Marietta to Canton, to Ackworth, to Dallas, to Powder Springs, and to 2 houses in Marietta. So 6 houses total.
Oh,
Wow.
Only took you 30 minutes with no traffic.
It did take me 3 hours because I had to wait in line to pick up my food and then whatever. But I did a bunch of ding dong ditch, right? So ring the doorbell, run to my car, honk the horn and wave, right?
Yeah.
That thing, being out of the house for 3 hours was so amazing because it was such a beautiful day, not in a lot of traffic. Yeah. I am going to go to the grocery store in a few minutes, but they open at 8, so I figure they will be a little less, right?
Yeah.
And from my restaurant training, I have a lot of cross-contamination training, so I will not use my left hand for anything other than sanitation, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
I think this kind of presents really what you guys were talking about earlier about the forces of this economic state is different than what's in 2008, right? That was a natural, natural economic environment where it is, and and everybody had to deal with it, right? Because the demand stopped, being there. I think now is the force is really created, right? Like, so just take any restaurant chain or whatnot. The reason there is no funds coming in or stocks fell is because there is no earnings reported, and the earnings reported are not because the demand just vanished or just declined or people have money, but really because they just can't go physically, right? The door's closed. I think as soon as this opens up, people will rush into back to their normal lives, and more than they would have normally, because now they want to experience, read like what you said, right? Like running back to the store just to talk to somebody. That's going to happen in the hospitality business. And so.
Yeah, I don't think, I hear what you're saying, but I don't really think that the hospitality business will have a meteoric rise because there will be so much fear around being around so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And then so as the president rolls out the rules, I don't know if you heard the rules yesterday that he's going to actually open a couple of states that have, I think, less than 2,500 cases in their states, which I think there's 10 of those states.
Mm-hmm.
But they are, so as part of that rollout, if they're a certain size, and I didn't get the square footage, so I'm imagining a 10,000 square foot store is not going to open, right? Because they can't manage the number of people in there. Right. Although if they take, if they take the playbook of Home Depot, they could manage it, right? So, I mean, I know I'll be excited to get out, but again, because of my medically fragile mom, will I go to a restaurant? I don't know.
Yeah,
if it was just me, it would be different.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a gradual coming back, but the cause for it will be an implied force as opposed to natural economic force, right? It would be I'm concerned for safety, therefore. And so, and once all the states open up, hopefully here in a few months, I think people will not only go back there to their normal. I think this optimistic thinking too, but they will try to overcompensate for being so isolated and just try to experience real normal life again. Because really this never happens. It's more of a, we can't learn from a precedent somewhere. Interesting times for sure.
Yeah, I know. Talking about the restaurant and everything, I actually have a few Mexican restaurants I can walk to. Matt knows well. For those of y'all who don't know, Matt's office is literally across the street from my house. I mean, that's not even an exaggeration.
Yeah.
I walk across the street.
True.
Yeah, we meet for coffee at Star Provisions, but we've been going to we've been going to Agavero, Mexican restaurant at the top of our hill, and I've been getting to-go margaritas and everything. Yeah, that's what we get pictures, and we did that last night. But I've been talking to the owner every time I go in there, and they're doing everything where they have a kiosk outside for people to stop by and pick up, and they're selling 12 packs of beer to go. They're trying everything, and I was talking to him. I was like, how are y'all surviving? And he's like, it's tough. He goes, I'm hoping that this is over soon. He's like, I feel like now I'm a Taco Bell. What's strange to me is why some of these places aren't allowed to even do outdoor patio. Seating. I mean, that's what I see people doing, but the restaurant can't even run like that. So it's going to be interesting. Roman, I'm with you. I see when I try every week, I get out on my motorcycle and I just ride around the city to see construction projects, see what's going on, and kind of get a beat of how everyone's doing. There's people out everywhere.
There are.
Piedmont Park is slammed every day. The Beltline is slammed. And it's like, I think everyone's going to, like you said, everyone's going to rush. But I think, people keep talking about this new normal. I think a lot of us are going to be a lot more cautious, and, sanitation is top of mind. So it's going to be interesting to see how these concerts and these large venue stuff comes back and how people are actually going to react. And I think it'll be a few months. I think there's going to be a hangover from it. And then as we all do here, it's going to be gone. We're going to just act crazy again and no one's even going to care anymore.
Hey, Reed, since you're in commercial, what do you think this whole, we've gotten a lot more comfortable doing Zoom and not being in the office. What do you think that's going to do to commercial real estate?
So,
will big corporations need as much space in the future?
Right. So what I'm already seeing is sublease and everything. What I really think is going to happen is what you touched on. These companies are going to come back and be like, why am I paying over $100,000 for office space when I don't need it?
Right.
Or we could have gotten XYZ done virtually. So I think what it's going to do to the actual real estate market is we're going to see a lot of office buildings suffer. And I think this is going to be it's not going to be immediate, obviously, because of leases. It'll be in the next 3 years, possibly, is when you're really going to see something change. And I think there's going to have to be repurposing of, not necessarily just like some spaces carved up. I think entire buildings are going to have to be repurposed. I think we're going to see something like malls, how no one's going there anymore. Who's cooking? Sounds like someone's fire alarm's going off.
It was your mom. She had the refrigerator open.
But I think it's going to be the complete repurpose and reuse of some of these. And I think in Atlanta, we have a major surplus of office space being built right now.
Yes.
There's a lot of buildings, and it's something I've thought about kind of long and hard as I do leasing. And I think at least 3 of you on here, I think trying to be the leader in that and maybe starting a conversation on what to do with these office buildings, looking at how malls are turning into call centers or esports venues or something like that. I think, we might see some of these office plays maybe do a residential play or something else like that. And I think there's going to be opportunity, but a lot of office users are definitely going to suffer. And I actually think places like WeWork might actually rise back from this.
You think?
I think, and maybe not necessarily, WeWork is kind of redoing their model. They've already renegotiated some of their leases. I think, the co-working space is actually going to still be strong with it. And I think there might be different size models where more daily passes, more, not necessarily entire offices, but maybe entire companies or floors use the WeWork model and people just kind of come in and out more.
Yeah, I can see maybe the co-working because, part of what I struggle with is that because my office is right there, I might be working at 1 a.m, right? So, if I had a dedicated space, maybe I could, bring in my hours. I have to physically tell myself, wait a minute, I don't have to work all the time just because my office is, 20 feet away, right?
Right.
Plus, again, as extroverts, we would want to see people.
Yeah, that's me. It's like I gotta have a physical office to go to.
Yeah,
that brings up actually. This is what good that you arrived at that point, Reed. I was thinking earlier in the week actually about the changed behavior overall for just people and how their behavior will change and shape for good in some arenas after this goes away. And if you look from one side, you can tell that previously why did companies not move their employees to more of a remote and only get like very minimal amount of space they need for, let's say, meetings and whatnot, is because the fear of how would it work, how would my employees motivate, how would it would they cope, and I can't put this risk up right now because I got to run operations. But now that they have to, a lot of them learning that, man, this really works. Why do I need space, right? So this is really the fear that, okay, so company owners are realizing that this actually could be, a possible cost savings for me not to have as big of an office or office at all. But then, on another hand, employees previously would all say, hey, I want to work from home, this would be great, and they would even look for jobs that are remote, right? And the reason is because that was a choice. I think now that they realize that what it's like to really, really work from home, after a week or two being home and not having a choice to go to office or having a choice to get out and socialize, a lot of behavior probably will change, where they will look for the companies that do have office environment, that do have that, break room, that do have that, hey, how you doing? Because for a lot of people, that's their social life as well.
Right.
So I think there's two forces that are at play, and really it could go either way, really.
And then do you think you'll see seasonality in that? Like, so, kids being at home in the summer, do you think that you'll see more people flocking to offices in the summer?
Yeah, that could be.
I don't have kids, so I don't know what that's like, but I hear a lot of horror stories.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Like Rosie, I think you're right. It's going to change people's behavior, and it's going to be really interesting to see how all these people that wanted to work from home, and as we all know, employee just means you barely work and get paid for it. So if you run your own business, you're motivated, but a lot of employees aren't. They want to do the minimum and all the distractions at home. So it's going to be very interesting. I don't know, Cheryl. That's a very good question.
Yeah, it's definitely a precedent.
Awesome. Well, does anybody have anything else, or y'all wanna close it out?
Yeah, Cheryl and I both have to go to the grocery store.
Okay. All right. Well,
Humans.
yeah. Well, thank y'all again for joining. And my closing quote is always Thomas Edison: "Vision without execution is hallucination." So you got to do it to make it actually come to fruition, and we actually got to do and be the leaders in this time. So everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe, and thank y'all again. I'll see y'all next week.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Take care.
Awesome. Thank y'all.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Reed.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Good job, Brady.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. Stop.
Yeah.